Hey, this is Richard Miller with Goldie May, and here is the first in a new series of videos with live genealogy research. I think there's a lot of value in watching someone work through a problem or maybe even struggle with a problem, so that's what you'll see here. You might learn from the big strategy or from the small features used in the tools, or maybe you'll even say to yourself, I would have done it differently, and if so, you'll reinforce that idea for yourself, and maybe you can even leave a comment so we can all learn from it. I'll be joined by a regular co-host, James Tanner. He's a longtime genealogist and a prolific blogger at his blog, Genealogy Star. And you may have even seen one of his many videos on the BYU Family History Library YouTube channel. So he'll join me. We'll look at a genealogy problem from his family or my family or someone else's family. We might even ask you to send in your genealogy problems or brick walls. We'll have no script, no agenda. We're just going to look at a problem together. And we hope this is a really useful series.
It's not unusual that I will be sitting down with somebody and doing this. So it's just, we have a standard way of looking. I do have a standard way of looking at everything. So we'll kind of go through, and it'd be helpful just to realize that these are the steps that everybody has to go through before they really know what they're doing and really know what they're looking for. So let's just go ahead.
Let's jump in. Okay. Well, I'll share my screen, and because we're doing because we're looking at something from my family, then I'm using Goldie May because that's the tool I used. If we were sharing James's screen, we could use whatever tools he prefers. But what I'll do is just open up this Goldie May project for it says Maria Wilson here, but really the daughter is the one that I will start with. So let me move this Zoom window off to the side. America Jane Overland is an ancestor of my wife. And so she's got quite a few sources and is fairly well documented, but the evidence for her parents is really slim. And so, extending back her parents meaningfully, not just the names, would be really great. And so, and by the way, I'm pulling this up. James had no idea which ID I was going to pull up first, but James, I could just tell you where this is at so far, and then we could take your recommendations on where to go. I'll pull up the subway map here and kind of what this is doing is showing Maria, but let me go back to show America Jane. So kind of going from the backward side, she died in Wallsburg, Wasatch County, Utah. And so you've got some of these Utah points. But then as you go back, she was in Iowa. Prior to that, she was in Nauvoo, Illinois, and before that, Indiana and Kentucky. We have a couple of outliers. Let me just change this a little bit to see a zigzag. But what we know, or we think we know, is born in Kentucky, and then moved to Indiana and married in Indiana, and then moved to Nauvoo, Illinois. There's a backtrack here where I think one of the children, James Davis, is possibly incorrectly listed as being born in Kentucky. I think he was probably born in Indiana with some, after the marriage. But then after Nauvoo, then in theory on to Iowa, Council Bluffs, Garden Grove, and then on to Utah. So that's what we know about America. And then, going back to her parents, I started looking in Kentucky for her. What we know by the name is William Overland is the father. The sources I'll show you, one's the one I found just yesterday as I was doing some research on this. And then for the mother, Maria Wilson, we don't have any sources. So I'm not even sure that Wilson's the right name, or maybe even Maria. So just really slim records on the parents. And one thing that's, I think, confusing about her birthplace, there's maybe a census that talks about her being born in Indiana, another one born in Kentucky. This may have been standardized wrong because there is a Grayson County, Kentucky, but this is standardized or placed at Grayson, the city, Carter County, Kentucky. So I don't know that there's any evidence for this Carter County. I think it might be that maybe someone saw Grayson and picked up the Grayson city instead of the Grayson County. So stop me anytime, James, but I'll go into just William and show you what I have here for sources. One is you're not a source per se, just kind of a mention of the ancestry family trees. But then one source I found just yesterday was that in Grayson County in 1810, there is a William Overland mentioned in the tax records of Grayson County. So this was like great to find this yesterday. It was like the first real, record, I think, for this William Overland. And I attached it, but even then, maybe it's something I should look at more, because there are some Williams, I think, as uncles or other parts of the family. So I'm not even sure if it's, actually, that I'm probably wrong here, because 1810, this William, if was 15, probably is not on the tax record. So this might be an Uncle William that I accidentally attached here. So, but it was nice to find in Grayson County that we have a William Overland. And as you go forward into the tax years, so 1811, 12, 13, then in like 1815, you see a Jonathan Overland and later an Eli Overland. And I think these are probably like uncles, like the generation above. If you go to so here's uncles like Eli and I think and Jonathan. So
okay,
that's where we're at. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start with America.
Okay.
So go to America, Jane.
Okay.
And this basically, go to our details page first. We'll look at the details.
Here, okay.
Just down there.
Okay.
And no, that's if we're up at the you're fine. So she says that she was born in Grayson, Carter County, Kentucky in 1824. And we look over here on the map, and that puts her in Kentucky. But the next place she shows up is Indiana. One thing that we probably need to recognize is that Kentucky that's pretty early in the Kentucky world. Kentucky was a state in about 1892, 94. Okay. I mean, 1792, 94. So it was only the state very, very recently. So one thing we want to check real quick is whether or not Grayson, Carter County, Kentucky actually exists. So let's go up to get a new tab on Google up there.
Yeah, I know the answer to this, and it's no.
Oh, you've got it already done.
What I did was, if I open up the Carter County.
Yeah, so you see Carter County's after her birth date.
Yeah.
So that's all right there. No. It's not possible. Yeah. That's not where she was born.
Okay.
So go ahead. If she was born in a place called Grayson, then we need to look up Grayson, Kentucky, and see what that is.
Okay. Maybe I ought to do that just here, because I wonder if there's some confusion about Grayson being both a city and a county. So there's Grayson County.
Okay, so there's a Grayson County that was created in 1810. And so now if you look down in the map, if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see about where it is.
Okay.
It's pretty far into the west. By this time, it would be helpful to see where that was in time frame. So if you'll open a new tab, go up and go to Atlas of Historical County Boundaries, and just click on that. This is the Newberry Library website. If you go there to Kentucky, we may come back to Indiana, but and look at the interactive map.
Okay.
Put in her birth. Go to her birth record.
I think 1824-ish or so. Yeah.
Yeah, 1823, 24. What would be there at the beginning of 1824?
There's January 1st, 1824.
Yeah.
And that one's...
See, by then, most of the counties in Kentucky were already established.
Okay.
And Grayson County's well out there. So we can assume that if she actually was from there, this is one of the first level kind of things that we do, that she may have been born in that county. And that's what they remembered was Grayson County rather than a town called Grayson.
Okay.
So the idea is to look now in Google and see if there's a place called Grayson, Kentucky. Look that up and see. Grayson, Kentucky, click that. It's a city. Now it's in Carter County. So there's going to be
Not to
some
be confused
confusion here
with,
because
yeah.
so there's a Grayson County and a Grayson town. So here we have a question. We're going to have to kind of look in both places to make sure that we're not getting confused.
Okay.
And it would, helpful to find out how far it is. So look at Grayson. Go to the maps. Go to maps.google. Up
Okay.
there. We don't need this anymore. And put in Grayson, Kentucky. There it is.
I'm gonna do directions to like
To
Carter.
Grayson, Carter. No, they're in Carter is the county that's in now. So Grayson County. See how far it is from Grayson County.
200 miles, 218.
218 miles. See.
Okay, pretty far.
Yeah, and so in other words, they're two completely different places. And let's find out when Grayson, Kentucky was established.
Okay, go back to
Realizing
here.
that all of this area, here we go. Discretion, it says down at the bottom of that, should have it. There
I
it
was
is,
thinking it was that one.
1810.
1810.
Okay. So there's some possibility. There's been some confusion there.
Okay.
And we'd need to do some research. We need to keep that in mind when we're doing research, that if somebody says they're from Grayson County, or Grayson, Kentucky, and they don't specify, then we won't know whether they mean the county or the city or the town, because it could be either place. Okay, now that's just kind of for starts.
Yeah, that's helpful.
That gives you a kind of a background. That's the geographic background that we need. Now, the next place she shows up is Spencer, Indiana. So it looks like on your very helpful Goldie May. Normally, I would have to go through each one of the sources and everything individually, and it'd take about 15 or 20 minutes or hour. And this just really helps speed things up. So
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, thank you.
So now we want to know where Spencer, Indiana is in 1843. That's where they're supposed to have gotten married. So let's just look up Spence. You can do it here on
wiki page on that, or
yeah, just go to there it is. So 1818, plenty of time to be there and get married. It's right down at the bottom of Indiana, which is consistent because from that part of Kentucky, there was a steady, let's call it exodus of people from Western Kentucky into Indiana and Illinois.
Okay.
That was just the pathway that they went was up.
So distance-wise, it wouldn't have been far necessarily, and that was the
standard
pathway.
It's reasonable, and it's possible that happened, and that would be consistent with the way that the migration was happening during that period of time as they were established. Because see, now here in Spencer County, you'll see when it was started. See, it wasn't organized until 1818. And so it's basically, it was basically new land. In other words, people were getting there. They were going there because they wanted land. Generally speaking, and then I remember from looking at the list of people you said were siblings, possible siblings, that there was a large family. And when you had large families like that, it was unlikely that the father would have enough land that all the children would be able to support themselves from that land. And so as they got old enough to move, they would generally pack up and go find their own land to live in.
Okay, that's a helpful point.
And so they would be going north. In this particular area, they'd be going north. One thing you have to understand also is that Kentucky, before Kentucky became a state, it was part of Virginia. And so it's almost always confusing because people will say, well, they were born in Kentucky, but they were born in Kentucky County, Virginia, which was part of Virginia.
Okay.
And so you're looking for records in Kentucky and you can't find anything. And so you go out to look for records in Virginia. So earlier you go in this search, you're going to have to keep that in mind, because pretty soon the father, for example, is not going to be born. He is going to be born before Kentucky was a state.
Oh, interesting. Okay, good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the number that sticks in my mind is 1894. But if you want to put in Kentucky real quick, it'll tell us when. Just put statehood. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm off 2 years. 92. I was right the first time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's helpful to know that.
So that's kind of the important factor, because the records, the question of where we're going to be looking for records based on where the counties, where they were, who was the jurisdiction, and what jurisdiction they were in at the time that the records may have been created. And so if you're looking for records in Kentucky before 1792, you're looking for records in Virginia, not in Kentucky.
Okay, that's helpful.
And it makes a big difference, believe me.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
well, good.
Let's
okay.
go back.
So
let's go back to yeah. You can close a few of those.
Okay.
And we don't have quite so many open. Now we know all that stuff. That's going to be the helpful things. Okay, so now we know that's wrong. The place didn't exist, or it's ambiguous, and so we really do have to not put that in there, because we're going to be looking for a person that doesn't exist, in a sense.
Yeah.
So what I would do would be to edit this, and I would just make it vague and take out Carter and just put Grace in Kentucky, because that's some of the information that we do have.
Okay.
And that way it would go with the county before I went with a little place in the eastern part, because it's more consistent to be further west.
Okay. So we could just say that.
Just say we don't know.
Don't know, but family is probably in Grayson County, not Grayson County.
Yeah. Okay. So that gives us a start there. Now, the reason why we go ahead and change this in family search is because the records, if they have any and they're found by record hints, will come up easier if we have it all corrected.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. So even if we don't know exactly, we can move toward what we think we know. And
yeah, you can just keep changing. You can just keep changing what you don't know. You may attract some comments by some of your other relatives, if they happen to be watching this, that they might come in and say, well, wait a minute, I already have this document. And it says, true.
Yeah.
So basically that's kind of the thing you can do to get some attention out of this.
Good. Okay.
And so let's scroll up and see on the vitals. We need to go up and see where we are with all of this stuff up here. Okay, so we don't have any.
That last sketch. Yeah.
Haven't found any record hints for her. Okay, so let's look on the sources real quick. That would be the next step. And so basically what we're looking at is anything that shows a parent-child relationship, meaning a record in which she told who her parents were. It could be anything from a birth record to a death record, anything in between that happened to tell who her parents were. Could be a journal, a diary, obituary, any kind of, there's just lots of different records that could apply. But what we're looking for is to see if presently we have a specific record that shows the names of her parents. So those early information file records, that looks like there's about all the same. Look at that. Let's have a look at.
I'm going to go ahead and just do detail view on these and just let them open up.
Yeah. And let's go down and look at one of those and see what's in there.
Okay. Let me try this show button here.
Yeah. Okay. Look at the card over on the side, the original document. So that person's in the TIB. That's the Temple Records Index Bureau records, and those are records that are restricted at the Family History Library in Salt Lake City.
Do they typically have more information than, I guess the source says, sex, priesthood, birthplace, endowment, date, and comments? So may not include the parents' names necessarily.
May not.
Okay.
But it's worth looking at that. But there's limited access to those records.
Okay.
Go
ahead and go down on, yeah.
So, but we do have a definite birth date. Well, that's a membership date. No, that's a birth date, 11/24. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so let's
just go ahead and scroll down.
Yeah, let's just scroll down. Let's see if there's anything different. They look like they're all the same thing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
This headstone, picture of the headstone has actually a different birth year by 3 years. This is 1827. But the tree says 1824. That's a
okay. So there's
nuance, but
a little bit of contradictory there.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing on the let's look on the marriage record and see if there's any mention. Fortunately, some records do show
yeah, nothing different there.
No, that just doesn't tell us anything.
Yeah. Here's the family search version of that record.
No, doesn't tell our parents' names.
Okay. I think those are going to be the same marriage records.
The membership record.
That MyHeritage one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's the first. Yeah.
Okay, so there's the name of the father.
Yeah.
Okay. So they have his name as William I. Overland.
Yeah.
Let's look back at her and see what that. I'm not remembering her father's name, so I'm going to check back and see what's going on there. No, see, they've got him as William Luce Overland, and the church record says his name was William I. Overland.
Okay.
And that may be right or wrong. We don't know, but there's a major issue right there.
Yeah. Okay.
So we may be stuck with, like we are with two places in Kentucky. We may have two different names that come from two different lines of sources. But I would suggest that these records, that this is actually the TIB record. So this is what you would see if you went into the TIB.
Okay. So no need to go now.
No. And basically she would be the one who supplied that information.
Okay. That's helpful. What do you take of, what do you take by her saying her own name is Overland, but then her father's name is Overland?
Well, there may be two different, they don't ever spell the stuff the same.
Okay.
But back before 1850, there were no standardized surnames. So you can think of anybody before 1850, it's kind of free for all as to how they wrote their name.
Good. Helpful.
But if she put it down as Overland, you certainly want to use that as an alternative name for him. So I would enter that under his name in Family Search as an also known as.
Okay. Help us bring up some hints if there are any or something like that.
Yeah, look down below. Let's see if it's. Yeah, there it is. It's William I. So
should I go ahead and add another William I?
Yeah.
And this comes from the
church membership records. Okay. Okay, so now you have that. And as you're going along, one of the things that's always suggested is that you have a research log. Well, if you use Family Tree as your research log, then you don't have to have a separate piece of paper out there.
That's right.
Then you have everything right there, what you found. So your notes and everything can be on there. And that's helpful also to other people, because if they see what you're doing and they can figure it out, then that'll be helpful too.
Okay.
Okay,
good.
so here we are. We have a couple of possibilities. What I would suggest is doing a search for William I. Overland and see what that does for our lives.
Kind of just a general logo search, maybe.
Yeah, just do a family search on.
I'm on. I'll jump over to William and then do the logo search.
Yeah, and then just change the name to Overland, William I. Overland, and see what happens.
Okay. Take out these.
Well, there's a pension file for William Overland. Well, that's, who knows where that is. Let's just see if there's any.
Okay. New York, Indiana. And I mean, it's already bringing up Overlands. I can't remember if my search included any alternate names that were Overland, but it was.
Yeah, but no, they'll know. I mean, that's already yeah, that's all
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's see.
The other option is that when she gave the name, she said his name was William I. Overland, and they heard Overland.
Yeah. Okay.
So, or she said Overland, and then she thought they said Overland. So it could just be a transcription error.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's to look at that.
Okay, now let's look at each of the children under William.
Okay.
And I don't know how long are we going to go on these. So
yeah, whatever you think, whatever feels like a good run through. But here's here, if I go subway map for William, and then we're including the children.
Yeah, let's put all the children on
the
same map.
Nancy.
But
statewise, they're all in Kentucky. But if we go county-wise, they move around a little bit.
Well, in each of these cases, we'd be back where we were looking for the dates that those counties became counties, so we know whether or not they actually existed. When we're doing this kind of research, it's a good idea to keep kind of a separate sheet that says when Grayson County was created, when Grayson City was settled, and you have all those all those actual dates to compare against what's been recorded.
The wiki pages for Grayson and Knox County. So Grayson is 1810, Knox County 1799. Oh, and this is probably the tax record I added yesterday, which is probably wrong because he would have been 15 and probably not owning land at age 15.
Not likely.
So,
couldn't legally own land.
So that residence would be wrong. I'll have to take that out. Maybe that belongs to a William who's an uncle or something. But and then first birth is Nancy Overland in Grayson County, and so year-wise, that he's age 21. The census or the county was created in 1810, so maybe that's fine. His first daughter. Then William Overland, a son, we don't have a city for him, or even a county. We just have the state of Kentucky as his birth. And then Tapley Overland, Knox County. And I did look up Knox County. It's southeast, so it's some distance, I think, from the other county. And then we've got Simon John, also Knox County. And then Christopher Columbus Overland back in Grayson County. And then there's American Jane.
No, that's inconsistent.
So, suspicious. Yeah. Okay.
Either the ones out there in Grayson County, again, are either a different family, or the two that were down in Knox County are not the same family. That's not a conclusion. That's what it's showing.
Yeah.
It's showing
Okay.
that they're really not part of the same family.
Okay.
So we need to be more specific about who we're, and we'll probably end up finding that there's a number of William Oberlin floating around there,
Yeah. Okay.
at least a couple. And so they might be at different generations, or they might be the same, might be different people.
Okay.
So
Well, this kind of
that's
raises a
kind of
question. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. Go
okay.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, just as we started out looking for the parents of America Jane, and we end up kind of down this rabbit hole of seeing other inconsistencies in the name and then in the locations of these children. And is has it been
So
your
here's
experience that, like, taking these rabbit holes and then kind of resolving those leads you back to more to your original question, to answering that original question? Because
yeah
you can't just leave this undone, I guess.
the booklet's going to be undone.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
The answer to that is simple. The answer is that we're going to go back and focus on America and see what other records we can find for her. She needs a lot more records about her, not just kind of general records, but we need to know if there's any other newspaper, diaries, journals, Bibles, anything out there that might give us more specific information about the family. So then we can start to draw some better conclusions. If we run out of that, then we just basically have to take the view that, well, we have inconsistent here, so we're going to have to look in more than one place to see if we can find all of the information that we need to make a conclusion.
Okay.
Because we're going to have to differentiate between, for instance, there's two counties here, Knox and Grayson, and see if there's actual possibility that they could have moved out and then moved back, which is kind of inconsistent with the way that those people lived at that time.
Okay. So you would kind of leave that inconsistency for now and go look at America Jane and say, what else can we find for her? And yeah, maybe we find a Bible record or whatever it is that mentions her, her sister Nancy or her brother Tapley, and then you know that it's.
See, where did he die? Where did William Luce Oberlin, William I. Oberlin,
We
whatever
do
his
not
name is?
have a death, place, or time for him.
Okay, so the two records we would want to look at first are land and property records for William, to see if William owned any land in either of those counties and who he was. And then ultimately what we would be looking for is a probate record, because if he owned land, he would have a probate. And so his probate record would show who his family was, and that may clarify who they were and which ones they were.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, tell me how far you want to go today, but we could just,
well, I think that's about.
Is that a good spot to pause?
Yeah, this is a good spot, because basically the question, the initial question is to begin looking for additional records for America, but on the meanwhile, looking in those county probate records to find out if, and about the time when he died, or could have died, that there isn't a probate record in either of those counties. See if there's something there that would be clarification. And then she moved to Indiana, and the question would be, who moved with her? Because she wouldn't have by herself as a unattached woman to be traveling across the wilderness through that part of the country. That was still unsettled, really wild country back then. That was all forest.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that's helpful. Good. Okay. Well, all right, Milt, maybe we leave it there. If I were to go into my project here in Goldie May, I could go and leave a task for, future research on this particular.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
That we're going to check for tax and probate records for William Oberlin in the 2 or more.
Yeah. That would be a good start, because that may solve it fairly quickly. Finding a will, probate would be another one. Land and property and probate.
Land and property. Okay. Yeah, I guess if you find that probate record and he mentions his children, then you've found a gold mine.
Yeah. So we need but we need the deeds, the deed property. They may have been early enough in the history. There's a website that's a paved website that's available through the BYU Family History Library for, when you're in the library, but it doesn't help when you're not in the library. But there's what's called First Landowners File, and it will take you to the landowners, to the people who are getting land from the government, either through bounty or through homestead. The first owners in every place in the West, in the state land cases, which I mean not the state land properties, but in the government federal land areas.
Okay.
Everything outside of the original 13 colonies, except Kentucky, is kind of in between because it was actually it's considered to be one of the early colonies. So they may not be covering Kentucky.
Okay.
But they would in Indiana. They would in Indiana for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. Well, I'll just stop sharing my screen here and we can wrap up. But okay, that was great, James. I appreciate the run through to get some ideas on this. And yeah, next time we could do someone from your family or whoever else we want to do.
Yeah. Mine are all very complicated.
Okay.
We may not want to look
can
at
save
that.
Those for another time. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have a lot of the descendancy that I'm doing. I can pick families that'll be really interesting. So
okay, good. All right. Well, thank you, James. And
okay.
we'll see you next time.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.